Trust now, forge later. It's a phrase that hints at something pretty ominous, right? When we talk about the quantum threat, our minds usually jump to one specific danger. But today, we're going to talk about something different. It's a threat that's less about stealing old secrets and more about shattering the very trust our future relies on. So, let's get into it. Okay, so let me ask you, what's the number one threat that comes to mind when you hear quantum computers? Go ahead, think about it for a second. For most of us, the answer is pretty much the same. Yeah, it's about secrets, right? Espionage. The idea that some powerful quantum computer will suddenly be able to crack today's encryption and unlock mountains of hoarded data. And don't get me wrong, that is a massive, massive risk.
But what if I told you that's not the full picture? Not even close. What if the real danger, the one that could hit us like a ton of bricks, isn't about cracking old secrets, but about completely forging the future? We're talking about an attack on trust itself.
All right, so to really get our heads around this overlooked danger, we've got to first quickly cover the one everybody already knows about. It's got a name you've probably heard: Harvest Now, Decrypts Later, or HNDL for short. The idea is pretty much what it sounds like. Adversaries are basically digital pack rats. They're sucking up every piece of encrypted data they can get their hands on and just storing it away. They're playing the long game, betting that one day they'll have a quantum key to unlock that digital treasure chest. The key thing to remember about HNDL is that it's all about confidentiality. It's a threat to secrets from the past. And yeah, it's a huge problem for sure. But it's also kind of a slow burn. An attacker has to go through each file one by one to decrypt it. Okay, so that's the known enemy. But now let's talk about its shadow twin, the one that's arguably way more dangerous. It's called TNFL. TNFL stands for Trust Now, Forge Later, and this flips the script entirely. Instead of hoarding encrypted data, the attacker is collecting digitally signed things: software updates, security certificates, commands for industrial systems. Right now, today, we trust them. The signature checks out. But in a quantum future, an attacker could crack the signature algorithm and create a perfect forgery, making malicious code look 100% legitimate. So why is that such a big deal? Well, because digital signatures are like the invisible handshakes that run our entire digital world. They're what guarantees the software update on your phone is actually from the manufacturer. They're how you know you're on your real bank's website. They are literally the foundation of all digital trust. And the difference in the impact between these two threats? It's not subtle at all. Think less slow burn and more driving off a cliff. So let's put them side by side. HNDL is about confidentiality, a threat to your past secrets. But TNFL, that's about integrity and authenticity. It's a threat to your future safety and security. With HNDL, it's a grind for the attacker, file by file. With TNFL, all it takes is one forged signature to compromise an entire system in the blink of an eye. There's this quote that just nails it. Q-Day for signatures will feel like a cliff, not a slow burn. Think about that for a second. It's not a gradual erosion of trust. It's an instantaneous collapse. One minute everything works, the next, nothing is trustworthy. And we're not just talking about data breaches or financial fraud here. When this kind of trust collapses in our physical world, well, the consequences get very real very fast. I mean, just picture it. Power grids, water purification plants, automated factories. All of these things run on digital commands. Commands that are verified and trusted because of digital signatures. So what happens when you can no longer trust any of them? Well, that's where we get into something called cyberkinetic attacks. And no, this is not science fiction. This is where a computer hack causes actual physical damage in the real world. We're talking explosions, blackouts, real harm. And TNFL, it's basically the master key for these kinds of attacks. So here's how it could go down. Step 1, a quantum attacker creates a perfect forgery of a software update. Step 2, they send it to a control system, which, seeing the valid signature, says, "Yep, looks good," and installs it. In step 3, that malicious code takes over, telling a turbine to spin itself to pieces or ordering a critical safety valve to shut off. The result? Boom, real-world destruction. Okay, so the obvious question here is, why don't we just update everything to a new quantum-safe system? And that's a great question. But when you're talking about industrial gear, what the experts call operational technology, or OT, it is nowhere near that simple. These OT systems are, frankly, the soft underbelly, the real Achilles heel in this whole scenario. Your phone gets an update every few weeks. These systems, they were built to be installed and then left alone for decades. That built-to-last philosophy is now a giant security nightmare. So let's really dig into why this is so hard. First off, the life cycles are insane. Equipment we install today might still be in use 30 years from now. You can't just take a power grid offline for a quick software patch, so the windows to do any updates are incredibly small and rare. A lot of this hardware is also, well, old. It doesn't have the horsepower to run these new, beefier post-quantum algorithms. And on top of all that, every single change has to go through a mountain of safety certifications and regulatory approvals. It's a huge, complicated mess.
Okay, so that sounds pretty bleak, I know. The challenge is huge, but it's not a lost cause. The race to get ready for this quantum cliff is already well underway.
And here's the silver lining. Really smart people are all over this. We've got standards bodies like NIST who have already picked the first set of quantum-resistant signature algorithms. So the blueprints for a safer future are being drawn up right now.
So what's the game plan? Well, for any big organization, step 1 is just finding all the places they use these digital signatures. It's like an audit. Step 2 is building something called crypto agility, a fancy way of saying you can easily swap out old algorithms for new ones. And for all that old gear that just can't be updated, you have to get creative, using things like quantum-safe gateways that act as a bodyguard for the old system. And all of this brings us to one final, really big question. Our entire modern world is built on this invisible layer of digital trust, a layer we've pretty much taken for granted. What trust now, forged later really shows us is just how brittle that foundation might be. So the challenge ahead isn't just about protecting our data, it's about whether we can fundamentally redesign trust itself to survive the quantum age.